Hello and welcome to Scientology Money Project on YouTube and what you're looking at. Glad you're all here. Sorry for the delay. We had a slight technical delay. Let me remove the photo and someone already figure out what it is. But today we're going to talk about the secret global headquarters of Scientology. And it's just a matter of connecting dots. It's pretty easy to figure out. But before we get to the secret stuff, I'm going to welcome everyone here on Friday night. Signals intelligence cannot crack OT comm line from Elray flagship to Ronsorg, Switzerland. Correct form 13909. You can't do it. The best Western U.S. intelligence can't get to Elray's flagship. That reference from a form 1399. He's got to be an old timer. Like myself, Captain Bill Robertson, founder of the Free Zone in Switzerland, said that was L. Ron Hubbard's real name when he billions of years ago when he was ahead of the Galactic Confederation. So yes, getting in at the top. Glad to see you here. Style Audit 1A. Hello, Denise. And inside the Tiki Bar. Well, we'll find out about that. And hi, Patrick. Thanks for being here. Sorry I didn't reach out to you. I got so busy that I had to leave and come back and take phone calls. And hey now, Heidi. Hey now. Remember that song, Hey Now, Don't Dream It's Over? Who remembers the band name? That was a great 80s song. Please remind me again how to show you a picture idea. Yeah, you'll have to. That's chat amongst yourself. Okay. I'll put it in a community. Okay, so we're having. Are we allowed to say? Okay. Anyway, yeah, hit the like and subscribe button. That helps me. I appreciate it. Grab a Hawaiian. A Hawaiian punch. I like Jeffrey because he knows my personal attorney, Stuart Mills. He does. I do know Stuart Mills. And so we're going to get into some interesting stuff. Hello, Sir Crepitus. Glad to have a cop here. Cops. I wonder if Poe's going to show up. Hello, Marina. Welcome to the show. Sherry. Hello. Glad to see you. What is your tattoo? Is it Celtic? What is it? It's mysterious. I like it. Hey, sir, please, Janelle. I'm not, sir. I'm just. I used to go by the name of Jay Swift. And hello, Joel. Glad to see you. And Nancy's correct. Crowded house. Hey now. Don't dream it's over, which is a great song. So tonight we're going to have old number 7 with some Coke. Glad to see you, Sarasota Jerry. Sorry I couldn't make it to meet you guys when you were in LA. I was out on a case. I was capering. And so anyway, I'm going to start out. Where do we even start? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out in 2 places. And we're going to work into this. We're going to work into this in a particular way by my inscrutable logic. So I want to show you a bulletin a lot of you have never seen before from L. Ron Hubbard, pseudo-nuclear physicist, faux nuclear physicist. And where is my program? I had to do a quick reboot when I went on, so now I have to get this secret. I have to get a secret bulletin. And like I said, most of you haven't seen it. So I'm going to sort of put this together. Oh, here it is. Okay, so now, yes. Oh, I'm talking to my computer. Yes, I would like that very much. Thank you. Now, Scientology has a computer division L. Ron Hubbard founded when he was alive called INCOMM. And it has what's called the Mercury messaging system. Basically, to get into INCOMM, it is an RTC level clearance. You have to be RTC level to get into INCOMM. It's their secret computer network. And I'm going to make the case and show you why INCOMM is so interwoven the outside vendor and some other players in this. And so we're going to start with an interesting bulletin, and I want to just show you the INCOMM bulletin. And where's it at? Entire screen. Okay, let's share screen. We're going to go the whole thing. Now, this is a bulletin written when Hubbard was still alive, and he started INCOMM. This is Computer Series 6. It's green, not red. Green means administrative on the green and reds. So INCOMM is the International Network of Computer Organized Management. Its purpose and project is to establish and operate a major international management computer system which enforces the standard application of Scientology policy and technology, and as a result, brings about rapid planetary expansion. Yeah, how's that working out for you, Fleet Admiral Hubbard? So INCOMM's product is developed and distributed, maintained and properly used computerized management systems, which enormously increase the production and income of an area. That sounds like a business. If you want to increase the income of an area, production and income, that sounds like a business and not a church. So anyway, it's a Sea Org unit, as you can see here, as a Sea Org unit right here, as a Sea Org unit. So first of all, Scientology Sea Org runs INCOMM, runs all the computers. And it goes through flag orders, statistics. It does everyday stuff, but it also does very secret stuff. And they have INCOMM operatives, and it has what we're going to go through a complex communications apparatus. Here you'll read policy below. This is typical Hubbard, and you'll see policy. Let me get this over. Policy. And this is Hubbard claiming, of course, the design and structure of all INCOMM computer programs and systems are based on the third dynamic tech of Scientology, blah, blah, blah. But then he says that it began based on outer space technology. So he begins to, he says somewhere here that let's find it. Read for yourself. Authority of INCOMM. So INCOMM computer programs basically are under the control of David Miscavige and all the management bodies. So here, background. This is what I was looking for. Hubbard writes, the power and capabilities of computers are almost unlimited. Oh, guess he read computer books back then. Unfortunately, Dr. Hubbard says, the existing state of administration in the society today is so poor that most computers, no matter how fancy their circuitry, are being wasted. Yeah, that's how we got a man to the moon and back. Okay, so idiot. Computers end up being used only for counting up how much tax someone has to pay. Yeah, Hubbard, you wanted to know how to use computers to get taxes out of everybody, or predicting how many auto accidents will occur in the next year. I guess, he'll go, and here Hubbard says, but I'll let you in on a little known fact. On the track, real computers, not Earth's current home or business entertainment toys, have successfully administered whole planets, you see. They actually were able to do work. They were not merely consoles and recorders that a person punched data into so that they would spit the data back out at him. The point here is that this planet's current popular concept of how to use a computer would make a baby laugh, which baby we would later put into the serum, of course. It's a bit like using a nuclear reactor to boil water, which is also being done on this planet at this time. No, no, Hubbard, you're wrong. They don't boil water with nuclear reactors. So anyway, Hubbard said that and if you go back into it's fun to do Elron. And actually, we have investigated Sir Corporatus and found him to be an agent of the CIA. So they have the real sassafras. Hi, how are you? And I'm just we're not going to we're going to keep that comments to a minimum, please. There's it's always some level of chaos out there, and that's anyway. I'm not going to make a comment. Yes, this is where the Duke of Chug came from, as Chuck Beatty made known. L. Ron Hubbard, L. Ron Hubbard said that in a galaxy long ago and far away, that the Duke of Chug had a computer system that ran the planet, and that the computer decided that after taking all the inputs that the Duke of Chug had been committing embezzlement, so it ordered him executed because it was flawless. Hubbard believed that computers were flawless, and it's garbage in, garbage out. And because so many of us had lived through that in the early days when we were the computers have gotten better, but it's still garbage in, garbage out. And even AI itself is having hallucinations. You can Google that. The AI has hallucinations. It makes up non-existent stuff. So Scientology has a computer network. Now, how does this tie in? Well, the computer network has to talk to all the parts of Scientology globally. And to do that, it needs a communications network. And so we're going to get into the weeds. I did a column last week on my blog, and I'm going to get to it, or a couple of days ago, actually, and I got a lot of calls. I really appreciate it. I got a lot of calls on this post I did. And this is, we're going to jump to it. Let me share the screen. So I'm going to, first of all, we're going to introduce Mile High Incorporated. Mile High Incorporated. What is that, you ask? Well, I will tell you. And Mile High Communications is a part of Scientology's secret cultic communications network. Now, Mile High, just as most people don't know, now let me see, I have to look at my screen. Okay. Mile High Incorporated, you can check that, California Secretary of State Business Filings. Here's a picture of a microwave dish taken by Angry Big Pope. Shout out to Pope. Years ago, and you can look at that charming cultic spike wires on both sides. That's going to kill you. You're going to bleed to death going over there. So Mile High is a Scientology company. It's a for profit. It doesn't have a 501c3. And this is the company that I want to talk about as it relates to the secret location, Scientology's global location. And this article is worth reading. It's up at the blog. But basically, let me enlarge it. And you can see that it's owned by the church, and it supposedly serves as the communications network for Church of Spiritual Technology, which operates the vault. But it goes much, much larger than that, folks. I assure you. Mile High encompasses all parts of Scientology. Now, the reason I'm mentioning Mile High, because it controls, and I'll show you from FCC filings, because it controls all parts of Scientology communications, their radio networks and such, could become probative in a lawsuit. You could actually request records from Mile High. And you can see the old familiar people there, Sarah Reyes, Jane McNairn, Arthur Bolstad. They've been around Scientology. They are rubber stamps who stamp and sign anything put before them. Mile High Incorporated. If you want to do some research and digging, this is where to look. And what Mile High does is it files with the FCC. And so, for example, their Church of Scientology has a lot of call signs, a lot of frequencies. And let me just jump in here for a minute. Some people, names withheld, thought the protesters were wasting their time. And I didn't. I mean, there was certainly the protests could get messy and things, but what I was because I had was how do I say this? Because I was aware of Mile High in advance, and this is just something I've been setting on for a while. And I knew their frequencies. Look at this. I knew Mile High frequencies, and then if you do a little more digging, you'll get the radio frequencies for pack base, gold base, flag. You can get publicly available information, again, open source intelligence, OSINT, which covers Ukraine so spectacularly. And because we know the frequencies and not all the frequencies of pack base, it also, you can get Twin Peaks. Uh, uh, Now this is an old analog scanner I keep around, but I have digital. So because we know the frequencies, I'm just saying you can scan publicly available Scientology frequencies if you're ever out protesting. You can do public scanning. Hold on. So you can just scan and listen in if you sit in a car, and you can also do, as I was doing, signals mapping, and so I know where, I already knew where one of INCOMM's computer rooms are. So again, INCOMM is integrated into Mile High Incorporated, and in fact, it's one of those things. Mile High was started in, oh, I have the note here. Was started in 19. Hold on. It started way back when. Darn it! It started in 1980. Hubbard was alive, 1985, I believe. So anyway, I was listening in on frequencies, and you can do that with a digital scanner. Like I said, this is an old analog one I keep just for limited use, and you can map other things. So because the FCC is all public, I was out mapping things and just doing research. And so I put this out on my blog last week, and those are frequencies. And again, I'm going to show you how to get to it. Now, this picture shows basically that there's satellite dishes and transmitters, uplink, downlink, microwave at Twin Peaks, which is where Shelley Miscavige is believed to be staying, and maybe not. I don't know. And the Twin Peaks base, as well as the HGB in Los Angeles, they all have a line of sight tower up on Mount Wilson. And Mount Wilson, for those of you who are not here in Southern California, Mount Wilson is in the San Gabriel Mountains, and it's the home to all of the big high power transmitters that bring us broadcast. And that includes cable companies still will broadcast to stations in your neighborhood that in turn put it into cable. So this is the main computer or the main broadcast center of Los Angeles. Scientology through Mile High have some equipment up there, and they also have some equipment on neighboring Mount Harvard, which is a smaller transmitter farm. So that's Mount Wilson, and so going through it, I found that Mile High, also known as Church of Scientology, because basically they operate as the same company because they're led by Sea Org members. And that's like the IAS is unincorporated, but they're led by Sea Org. Here's a beautiful picture from Mike Gilbert. That's what the transmitter farm on Mount Wilson looks like. If you ever want to take a day drive, it's a great trip. And there is a huge amount of energy pumping through those transmitters. So Scientology has a line of sight microwave, and they may use a repeater. I'm not going to talk about that. And amazing intel. It gets better. It gets better. So, and I'm going to show you because I got documents. I have done. Form 1399. You kind of look like a young Stephen King. It's a good look. So Mount Harvard, and you can Google Mount Harvard. Oh, Scientology just purchased a Spanish language television, small one for 30 million, which for them is not a lot of money. That's David Miscavige's, wardrobe expenses for a year, I think. when you count with Lou and RTC. But I think partly two reasons they bought the Spanish language TV station here in Southern California. One, they wanted to be able to reach into the Hispanic community and recruit people for Sea Org. I think they're cynical because if you look at the income, especially of recently arrived migrants, they just don't have the money to afford Scientology. That you don't, and if you're low income, you don't. And so I think they're going to use it to recruit in a predatory way young people newly in the country into Scientology. Sea Org's already been recruiting out of Mexico heavily, and but the other reason I think they wanted the station was to get the communications apparatus on Mount Harvard, which is next to Mount Wilson. I think they wanted some transmitters because the microwave line of sight between there's a relay from Scientology Media Productions, HGB, Pack Base, up to Mount Wilson, which you can get down to Gold Base, which used to be the old command post. But you can also basically, through Scientology Media Productions, reach the entire world of Scientology through uplink satellites and microwave transmitters. So this is all coming together. So the INCOMM would run the computers, the communications apparatus that run the microwave towers. I'm going to show you some pictures. It's amazing. And well, Patrick, once they can get the reach into the Hispanic community, Mexico, Honduras, Guatemala, Ecuador, the Spanish speaking population of Los Angeles is large. Hispanics are the majority in Southern California. So to get new Sea Org labor, Miscavige, I think, is simply targeting that community. And I've been watching it. They've been really targeting the Honduran community with their street closures. And I know where the Honduran embassy is, or it's not an embassy. It's one step under an embassy. Please, someone fill me in. It's anyway. You can fill it in. What's less than an embassy where you go to? Okay, yeah. You know what? I was thinking Bob Lazar. Yeah, he kind of does look like Bob Lazar, who discovered the sports model and had a lot to do with uh, finding Roswell UFOs and telling that story. Fascinating guy, Bob Lazar. Now, so I have evidence on this blog post I just put up, and here, this is Mount Wilson, and you can see you have basically a 360-degree range, and everything you can hit when you have microwave, which is highly directional. You can do line of sight for encrypted communications. So if you were engaging in the trafficking of children, humans, money laundering, any kind of cult criminality, you would want secure microwave line of sight. Now, what you see here in the distance, Waterman Mountain, Twin Peaks, that's the Twin Peaks you see here is not the Twin Peaks where CST is. These just happen to be called. But this is showing you the reach. There's an observatory run by UCLA on Mount Wilson, which is pretty amazing. The Mount Wilson Observatory. In fact, the Mount Wilson Observatory is where hold on a minute, let me get it. The Mount Wilson Observatory is famous for where Edwin Hubble discovered that the universe was expanding. Einstein's math led him to believe that, but he had to reject that conclusion instead of in favor of a stable state universe. And Einstein called that the biggest mistake of his career. So these are some more microwave dishes. Like I said, Pope took those. That this just screams cult. When you have microwave dishes and these fences that could cause you to slash yourself and bleed to death, that says welcome. And you're not getting out or in. And that's another. This is a microwave drum, they call it. So even CST, a remote base, which is supposed to archive, This is one reason you would house Shelly Miscavige there. You have instantaneous microwave without going on a cell phone that the FBI could intercept. You have instantaneous encrypted line of sight. Not that NRO couldn't crack it, of course, or the NSA, but I'm just saying, Chuck Beatty made some interesting comments about the importance of INCOMM and how central it is, and they spent a great deal of money. And so Hubbard created INCOMM. Chuck was in, and I want to get Chuck on. So, and then I go into some other stuff, which is neither here nor there for the purposes of what we're doing. But this post, so now what we've laid down is the fact that that Mile High Communications, Mile High Communications Incorporated. Look it up, do some digging. Let's make this a group project. And there you go. So we're going to jump somewhere else now. We're going to stop sharing that page. If I can figure it out. Okay. So we have INCOMM running computers. We have it owned by an entity called Mile High. Now, if you go to Google, I'm going to show you. If you type in Scientology FCC license, you'll find out a whole bunch of stuff. And I'm going to share some screens here to jump through. And okay, so this first one you see, and I'm going to move it over to my other screen so I can read and see myself. Okay, this is Church of Scientology, Western US. And what's interesting about studying these filings, and you just, like I said, you type in Church of Science, or you type in Scientology FCC license. Now this shows that they're using up in the corner industrial business pool. That's a particular classification, IG, and you can look that up. And this license is in effect, and this shows the contact, Church of Scientology, Western US on Catalina, attention, and Paul Eves. Now, this firm that they contract to do it is Business Radio Licensing down in Laguna Niguel. Again, that becomes a legal matter. Now that we know the vendor provides radio licensing services, he becomes potentially a person that investigators might want to talk to. And he runs a company called Business. And I'm not saying he did anything wrong, but he would be cognizant of the radio network. And so this is, so when you get onto this filing, it's the Universal Licensing System up here in the left-hand corner, ULS. Well, let's get some more information. Let's see who the admin is. And okay, so the admin, this will give you more information. So we know that Paul Eves, so in the event of anything ever legal or criminal happening, we know who the guy is that you would want to look for. And there's the transmission log. So this just basically gives you the call sign WNUD 964. So we know what to look for. That's even more data that's important to have. And notification. Now, this is where you get dates of construction, what they've done. You get the location, all the frequencies they use here in this column, frequency column. So if you wanted to take a scanner and put in, 461.325 or this whole range, and when you were around the base, that could be interesting. Because especially if you picked up anything about them calling LAPD or something incriminating. And again, this is open source. You're free to do it. Question. Antenna farm locations, buildings and land were normally owned by radio companies in near monopoly. Well, yes, but that's something they because they have space on a tower like on Mount Wilson, you can always lease out some space on that tower to hang somebody's. It's like, Patrick, you make a good question. If I own a transmitter on Mount Wilson, it's like hanging lifeboats on the Freewinds. The Freewinds has intercoastal lifeboats. They don't have the heavy deep sea ones, But if you were to hang different lifeboats on the free ones that could do deep sea travel, it's capable of doing it. Whether it would sink or not, I don't know. But I'm just saying that you can lease out space on your transmitter farm to anybody. It's just like if you owned a satellite network, you lease out transponders. That's how most satellite companies make money. They put up the satellite, and then they lease out transponders to people like Microsoft or whoever. Walmart owns its own satellite network. I think Walmart actually owns the largest private satellite network in the world. Miscavige is an expert in shortwave radio. hey. Yeah, sure. Oh my gosh. So what I wanted to show you, I want to get back to something of interest to me. And let's get this over here. Is this the one I want? Oh, yes, this is definitely the one I want. Now we're going to start doing some linkage. Osa, you saw me yesterday doing my live at Scientology Media Productions. But little did you know, I'm always up to something. You thought it was pure entertainment. And I bet some of the people in Osa, when I do Hubbard, they laugh. And actually, it will be found based on a recent eval that most of the people in OSA are what you would call fuck ups in the common language of the streets, fuck ups and imbeciles. And that is reflective of their low OCA scores and them being whole track suppressives and such. I bet some people in OSA just crack up. I just bet they just crack up and then they laugh and then they get pulled in for joking and degrading. But you have to entertain them because they're so deadly serious and they're out to destroy people. But this is why we're exposing their secret network. Okay, so the next item of interest. Wait, this is not the one I want. Is this the one I want? Okay, we're going to stop sharing. So now we're going to get to a more interesting filing. And these filings I found for all the CST bases. I know the frequencies for Trementina, Petrolia, Creston, where Ron died, and his medicated Bluebird mobile home paradise. And what's that, Ron? I'm quite a fan of Visceral. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, thanks, Ron. I didn't need to know that, but it's good to know. Okay. So, I got to get to this thing. I don't have Brendana. No, Brendana is not here, or I would bring her in to do my admin. Now, is this the one I want? Which is the number here? Microwave industrial business. I think this is the one I want. Let me share this one to see if it's the one I want. Oh, yes. Now, this, pay attention, please. Now, this is call sign WNEX 545, Scientology. And I draw your attention, madam, sir, young person. And that's an old saying from, I'll explain that. Now, down here we see, let's enlarge it because now we're getting somewhere. And this would be of use to law enforcement. Down here we see that INCOMM, this is Gilles Piget. He is actually the administrator. This is INCOMM. Okay, and let me see if I have it on the other filing. Let me just see. Anyway, this is the INCOMM guy. And I do have the filing where it actually says INCOMM. Oh, here it is. It's above. I'm sorry. I'm highlighting the wrong thing. Okay. Licensee. This is, again, public data. Church of Scientology. This is the address of the HGB where David Miscavige cannot be located to be served. But it says Attention INCOMM Division. So now we know a couple of things. One, it has been said in the past that INCOMM is part of RTC. That's incorrect. INCOMM is part of Church of Scientology International. Now, David Miscavige runs everything. So, but you can see that this is the actual INCOMM, and this is their computers. To the extent that they're going things, that would be the call sign we would be of interest for. And let's look at the admin. So this isn't always flashy or sexy stories that I do, but it's grinding out real stuff. So they sent them a renewal letter. Some of these files, if they're out of date, I can show you their license is up to date. And excuse me. Okay, so now what we get the coordinates. So if you want to GPS this and geolocate it, and they talk about the height of the transmitter location. This one tells us that it's 50.3 meters. That's 150 feet. The elevation of the site's 109. So now that we know the GPS location and we know where to find it, we can photograph it. And there's the receive location. So now, and I'm not going to do this online, but basically we know where it's transmitting from. We know where it's receiving. So we know this is, in which case this is a base because it's transmit and receive at the same location. But we know where it is. We know exactly where it is. And there you go. We also know the emission designators. Now, I'm not going to get into the technical language. You can look all this up. Radiated power, tolerance, paths, everything, and the call sign. And then, of course, the map will give us. Now, look at here. This is exactly what I was talking about. INCOMM has a direct line of sight to Mount Wilson. This is actual evidence, okay? So, one thing in future lawsuits and maybe future criminal prosecutions, Mile High Incorporated, INCOMM, has a direct line of sight, and it's not a big jump down the San Gabriels to go over to Twin Peaks. There, you just have to shoot across the Cajon Pass. So you might have a relay somewhere. Plenty of places to run a relay, or I'm sorry, a repeater. That's just where if a mountain gets in your way, you'll have it hit a repeater, maybe go down to Apple Valley, back up to Twin Peaks. But this demonstrates that Scientology in LA and Hollywood locations, HGB, Scientology Media Productions, Pack Base, everyone else, ASI, has a direct line of sight to Mount Wilson. And that's an important piece of information. Do we know who all is on the Articles of Incorporation? Yes, we do. There's only one person named. Well, actually, I take that back. We know the attorney who filed it, and but we don't know who are the Articles of Incorporation because I was working so hard for you that let me see if I can find it. I was working so hard that I didn't have. That's the FCC document. Oh my gosh, I don't want to give away some of this. Right? Yes, just yet. I'm going to share this, so we're going to remove that. To answer Form 13909, Form 13909, you're inquisitive. You may be Bob Lazar. You may have the UFOs. Okay, so that document we're going to share. So stop screen, and we're going to share this. I'll show you the actual document, and it doesn't do us a lot of good, but let's just share it because you're curious and you're my audience. Okay, so you can see it was filed September 26, 1985. L. Ron Hubbard was still above ground on Target 1. The name of the corporation is Mile High Inc. It's engaged in a lawful act. Bullshit. Excuse me. Bullshit. And it purportedly claims, and this was signed by Lawrence E. May. Century City suggests to me that he's an attorney. He's agent of process. So at the time, Mr. May of 2049, Century Park East. Hey, can someone Google that while we're on? Oh, yeah, it is. Well, that's in Hollywood. That's where it's at. So you're going to be not very high. Of course, there's some YouTubers who get very high That's a joke. Very high as AF. Okay, so what's interesting, Form 13909, it says this corporation is authorized to issue one class of shares of stock, and the total number of shares which this corporation is authorized to issue is 10,000 shares. Now, so Lawrence E. May, private attorney, you can Google his address. He may be deceased by then. I mean, this goes back to 85, or he may be old and treacherous. I don't know. But we know there's 10,000 shares. So, as a open source intelligence project amongst us, we could go dig to see who owns those 10,000 shares. It's just like the IAS when it was started. Berganti, her name, I think Maureen Berganti owns some of the shares. So, who owns the shares of Mile High Incorporated? And it's a corporation. It doesn't mention it's a nonprofit, so it's a for-profit, and it's holding all of the radio communications, including that INCOMM uses. So that's what I wanted to share. And what I'll do is I'll post this Form 13909. I will post this on my blog along with a slideshow, which I'm going to show. Looks like he is still kicking. Okay, I'm glad you checked him, but now we know the guy. Yes, Maureen Bergotti, Secret Psych. Exactly, Secret Cypress Gold. Form 13909. Sometime, let's talk. Let's do a live. You can do it. But we need to talk about Maureen Bergotti and the Dutch tax lawyer Engel minus George Praag, Praag. Okay, so it's Gibson, Hoffman, and Pension. So Lawrence May works for that firm, and he does not work for We Fuck Him and How. Well, that's too bad for him because We Fuck Him and How, Eastern Mills, general partner, that's the firm you want to work for. So they have a tie to Scientology. Another data point. Denise Brennan would have known who, yes, Denise, I talked to Denise all the time. Miss her dearly, but we talked a great deal. I have her book, Lies and Perjuries of David Miscavige, posted in PDF form, which Anonymous helped Denise to compile on my blog. And proud to say I knew Denise and thinking of her now. So that's Mile High. Okay, so now we're going to go on to the secret location who actually globally controls this. And the first bit of information that clued me in came from Mitch Brisker. And he said that David Miscavige's office is at Scientology Media Productions. So I think you know where I'm going, but looks like Lawrence Edward May is practicing law in LA. So he's still around, but he did incorporate. So now we're going to go through. I did a live yesterday, and it's on my YouTube channel, and it was kind of fun to do. But I was actually taking in information and pictures. So let's do the big show. This is the Tiki Room. It is a bar right next to Scientology Media Productions, but look at this. Look at the camera and that concertina wire to protect ingress into Scientology Media Productions. So I guarantee you the Tiki Room, it's been in there. I've had a cocktail. Great hang around place. Excuse me. I'm parched. But look at that. It shows like the cultic. I think the cult, if that's the Tiki Room's property, then the cult of Scientology is paying them a handsome fee to put that concertina wire. If I owned the Tiki bar and they wanted to do that, I would charge them a substantial amount of money. Now, here's Scientology Media Productions. Okay, now this is where we get into why it's the secret global command center of Scientology. It's that St. Hill once was when Hubbard was alive, and then the Apollo took it over. And then base was when David Miscavige. But based on what Mitch has told us is some information I will develop. This is the new secret center. And in fact, Scientology Media Productions, I suggest, is a ruse and a cover-up to cover up the fact that this is the real controlling entity of Scientology globally. I put red X's by the microwave transmitters. There's actually, see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 2 up on the tower, 5. They say they have 6. There's one, I believe, that's not in the picture. It's on Sunset Drive, not Sunset Boulevard, but Sunset Drive. When you get to an intersection where Hollywood, Virgil, Hillhurst, like 5 streets come together, there's a spur off Sunset Boulevard called Sunset Drive, which runs along the backside of, and they have a transmitter there. So this is massive overcapacity. This is massive overcapacity because, for example, on the CNN building, which is 24/7, 365, they have about 8 transmitters, and we'll pull that up and look at it. But they don't have enough. They just don't have enough to need 8 of these big transmitters, or I'm sorry, 6, plus their tower. And that tower is, I got the compass direction to establish a line of sight off the backside of that upright tower to Mount Wilson. So I have the compass directions, but we already saw it on the FCC map. It verified exactly. Now, going around, one thing I've noticed, because I've told you all before, I'm trying to teach you this: count things. When you're out, you count things, not because you have obsessive compulsive disorder. I do not. But when you count things, you count the numbers of cameras. In my professional opinion, Scientology Media Productions is the most heavily defended Scientology base in the world based on number of cameras, security measures. That would be to protect David Miscavige. And here you see on the side, you see the tower in the back. You see a camera. Those 2 devices you see, the black devices, and they're facing in different directions. Those are our infrared sensors, such that if your camera was spray painted or otherwise occluded, or it had a something thrown at it, if your camera was knocked out, you still have infrared sensors. These are vandal-proof IR sensors. This is what they look like. So I haven't seen these in use at other Scientology locations, these active infrared sensors. And then you can see the cover they put over it to the far right. But that's what those devices are. So if we go back, Scientology is not comfortable with a camera. It actually wants redundant dual beam infrared sensors. And you can see these are infrared because on the other side of them, they're like your gate opener. There's a reflector that reflects back. So they do other reflectors on the other side. So they have this level. They have these at every gate and some other places. And at the garage, you can see, look at that camera array. There's several cameras there, and there's some other devices. The stairway is very heavily, I mean, they have cameras on the stair. I'm not putting all the pictures I took on my phone, but there's plenty of cameras all over. And look at that. I mean, the redundancy of cameras argues that this is executive protection for the leader of the cult. 7 dishes, 1 on the left ground level. Yeah, yeah, I agree. And we can have please email me any information you have. I'm not an expert. I'm conversant with, broadcast and microwave, but I'm not by no means an expert. Any information. Now, these red LEDs are illuminated. When you use the naked eye cannot see them, but when you use a cell phone, amazingly, put it on such expensive real estate. Dave just had to be near the taco truck. Yes, he did. That's the reason to buy it. That's how he thinks. So you have these infrared LEDs that'll give you full vision, but you also have a camera above it. So this suggests executive level security for the chief executive officer of the Cult of Scientology Incorporated. And look at this array. So you have, again, infrared, a dual infrared sensor, camera facing one way, camera the other way. And the density is quite spectacular. There's a picture of, on the back side, that means referring to the right, if you're looking with me. So on 2 sides of the triangular antenna, you have the Scientology Media Productions logo. But on the back side facing Mount Wilson, These are microwave transmitters, and there's also UHF antenna, UHF high gain antenna. And so that's the equipment on the backside of it, which instead of using all three sides to promote Scientology, the backside's functional to Mount Wilson, so it can integrate with HGB, so it can go out to wherever it needs to. And through the satellite farms or the microwave, of course, you could talk to the ship, you could talk to flag. So basically, and now look at that. There's another shot of just the density. Now there's the tower. The bottom antenna, I believe, is UHF high gain, and that's probably for cell phones. And then we have a dish here with a radome on it, probably again for encrypted. And then we have your microwave. So experts in the field will know what these antennas are for, and I'm reaching out for help because I'd like to develop this truck. I'm sorry, truck. I was thinking taco truck. I developed this line of thought. I was reading about Dave and the taco truck. He likes a good taco truck. And then, is that it? I guess that's all there is. I had some other pictures I thought I put up. Let me check my PowerPoint. Here you can just get some comments. I thought I put in like 10 more slides. I was loading this thing up. But again, let me just check to make sure I didn't put in a blank. Because I was rushing through. I have the tiki room, and I have, oh yeah, there's more pictures. Yeah, there should be more pictures here. Why is there a black one? Okay, well, this is where incident 1 of OT3, where the Thetan fades to black. The Thetan is covered by blackness. Okay, now here's more pictures. Now, in this photo of Scientology Media Productions, which argues for executive level protection, you can see the netting, the actual mesh above the cameras. That's anti-intrusion mesh. So assuming you scale the wall on the ladder, which is, I don't know why they don't, I don't know why you should remove the ladder if you're out to do protection. You should remove it. And then you could just rent, you know, you could rent a lift truck if you needed to fix the cameras. But for some reason, which makes no sense to me, they leave a ladder, and that way that causes them to have to erect all this chain, all this wire scaffold or this wire barrier above it to keep people out of the parking garage. But look at all the conduit, the cameras, the ladder. I don't know. What is it? Would that a sniper go up there? I don't know. But you can see that chain mesh. I guess ultra barrier is too gauche for East Hall. Yeah, it would. Ultra barrier would be too gauche, and the locals wouldn't like it. Hey, Poe, glad to see you here. We had to be on the lookout for you. We're gonna have to send people out to your house to see, you know, just in case you were up to no good. So this is, yeah, they have that barrier, so you can't climb it. But look at there's just 2 cameras, and there's just many, many, many. Again, here's another picture. You can see the mesh covering, so you can't get in. It's covering the whole area. And there's cameras in there and conduit, and there's just multiple layers. I'm outside the fence looking into the facility, but look at how they have everything covered. This is like a prison. I think it looks more like a prison. Yeah, I was prepping, or I would have been pulling the go. Did he do a room raid? I hope he did a room raid here. Is is worried that, yeah, I'm working with Spider-Man. Yes, I'm in that league of the Marvel universe. So, but look at that. This is just nuts. Um, Everybody say, hey to Poe. Hey, Poe. But this looks like a prison. I'm sorry. It doesn't look like ecclesiastical television or whatever BS they're peddling. Now, I had to take a picture of this. I blurred the license plate, but this is such a cool hodad. If you're old like me, you'll remember that word, a hodad. That's like a surfer word. Look at that. Somebody geniusly took flat black primer, which is a great color for this. This is an old Dodge van. And I got to tell you, it reeked of the devil's weed as I walked by. And it has blackout curtains in it. So somebody was, just uh, getting high, which is legal, perfectly legal. Listen to music, but that's such a cool looking van. Isn't that just so retro? So they have these hipsters parked next to them. Yeah. Mile High is active. You know what? Fat Fat Grammy, Department of Transportation, if you look at Scientology has several DOT licenses. Church of Scientology International has one, Mile High has one. They have so many Department of Transportation, which meant at some point they were considering building a trucking service. You get an A for work as usual. Active SCC, yes. And probably they probably have active diseases of the mind as well, or at least BT induced. So yeah, so this is a Hodad van that I want. Uh, Imagine me pulling up in that. Looks like a solar panel on top, and saying to my lovely wife Karen, "Hey, honey, hop in. We're going up the coast." That would be a great vacation. Now, this is a picture of two of the microwave dishes, and they're huge. They are enormous. Later, I'm going to get on Google Earth and measure the diameter. And and I couldn't get, or where I was at, I just couldn't get a good shot. I have one good shot. Now, look at this. This is a UHF directional antenna. It looks old fashioned, but it's not. These things are very good to have. And this is a UHF. Um, Check interior for eucalyptus finishing. I was not going to approach or go in that van. Davy's twin sister, Opium Den. Yeah, Denise Miscavige got hooked up for smoking the devil's weed in a DUI. And yeah, that maybe Denise. You know what? Maybe this is the Denise Miscavige van where, when she wants to get high, they send her out to the Dodge van. I think that's a good theory. Um, I think that's a really good theory. That's probably Denise Miscavige's van, or it could possibly be. It's like, Denise, you have to go outside if you want to smoke. Yeah. So that's a great idea. So anyway, you can see the UHF. So they have all these devices. This is not a typical broadcast facility because they have six dishes that are ridiculous. You don't need that many dishes. And they have high gain, line of sight. I mean, to me, this says secret control center. And I want to get on Google Maps. Well, indulge me. Like I said, I had everything set up, and then I had. Okay, we're gonna go. We're just gonna show you CNN Hollywood building. So give me a minute, please. Bear with me. And we're gonna go CNN. I'm just checking something. No, I don't want to go there. DeLong Prey. Oh, this is so frustrating. Mosaic Yucca. Hold on a minute. Let me just tell this, search this area. CNN, Hollywood building. So, okay, there we go. We're going to go to layers. Thank you for waiting. We're going to share a screen. And okay, so we're going to take this off screen just for a minute, and we're going to share a screen. I want to show you something else. So SPTV, I'm sorry, I get confused. Scientology TV is a highly repetitive schedule. They don't have that many film crews globally. They do some stuff in house, but they don't need 6 microwave dishes. That's over capacity massively, unless it were a private thing. So I want to go to show you the nearby CNN building. Yeah, I like that. Carl's always getting into he's whimsical. This is the CNN building in Hollywood. It is a tower. I don't know how many stories it is, but if someone could look it up. Okay, but look at if we again we count. Okay, this is CNN 24/7, 365. They could bring you breaking news from Ukraine, where I hope the Kursk front, the Russians fall. Okay, so let's count beginning at the lower left here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so for a global media, CNN has 9 dishes on its roof. Let's count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And this one, I don't think that's a dish, but let's just call it 9. 9 to do 24/7, 365 content. Scientology has 6. So you can see my argument. Some of those dishes may be inactive or just used on private satellite transponders to communicate so that David Miscavige from his office at Scientology Media Productions through Mile High Communications and INCOMM can run his empire. That is why I'm saying the evidence points to that's exactly it. Because all this stuff shows security. Look at that. And I have some comments on where they're aimed. I'm developing an idea on what satellites they may be leasing from because they do not have a satellite, but they certainly have to have transponders. So I have directions, angle, attitude, azimuth, all that stuff. So I'm developing that. And here are the mile high frequencies. So if these are just for the Trementina bases. So what's the bottom line? My argument is that Scientology Media Productions is a cover for David Miscavige to run Scientology globally. Again, we're going to look at Mile High Incorporated, and you could type in anything in the U.S. Flagland Base, I already found their licenses, their call numbers, their call signs. So I'm assembling the communications network of the Scientology cult, and that's why I developed the first thing on my blog to get you all interested, because I need fellow sleuths like you to develop this to build the case. Um, so it appears, for all intents and purposes, Scientology is wherever David Miscavige is located, and because Mitch Brisker says that he considers Scientology Media Productions his base, and they have the communications facilities. David Miscavige on the line of sight microwave can talk to the HGB where OSA and RTC is located. He can talk to the ship, the free winds out in the seas. So this is the interesting thing. Yeah. Well, there's a couple agents. There's Matt Choi. There's let me see what I have. I have the agents. I'm going to assemble this into a database, Mona, if you want to help. But basically, we have Paul Eves, EVES. We have business radio licensing, and then there's a company. This was really interested me. Let me see if I can get them. Here's a company that does their called Forest. Oh, here we go. And this is another vendor they have, and I want to see if they have a tie to Scientology. This is a company that, in addition to see the other company. Well, let me just share this. Stop screen. I'm going to show you a vendor who does INCOMM. This is listed on their publicly available information. This is a company that does a lot of their Scientology's registrations. So Forest Industries Telecommunications, they're a vendor. They may have ties to the church. I don't know, but they're listed on the FCC filings. And what they'll do, they claim to be helping nonprofits to build their communications network. So they're worth looking into. And I'm not saying they may not even be related. There might not be anything here. But when you're investigating, you have to look at everything. And the statement here, FIT, again, that means Forest Industries Telecommunications up in Oregon. And if anyone knows if this is Scientology related, let me know. Quote, FIT wants to make your frequency coordination and two-way radio licensing as easy as possible. FIT has been in the business of assisting applicants configure and license their private land mobile radio services for more than 70 years. So this is interesting. It says that they will facilitate the process and not stand in the way with unnecessary roadblocks. So if you wanted to get your cult radio network up and going, or if you had a legitimate one, that's who you'd go to. And it's interesting. You can check your pending license. They have links, and so these are links that fit. I guess FIT. I don't know. Recommends. Oh, they like the fire. So this is just when you go through. This is a vendor. It could be a vendor like Gensler, or it could be run by a Scientologist. I don't know. I don't know. But you can contact them about us. See, they're as a trade association of the land mobile radio industry. Now, when you dig down, what I'm trying to do is get down into the weeds to find out how INCOMM, Mile High, RTC, everything interfaces. And so ultimately, maybe perhaps, I'm not a lawyer, but there's a very corporate veil piercing theory at work if you can show that it's all one corporation integrated through INCOMM and the FCC. And that's a potential theory of where I'm going with this. There's some other things I want to do too, especially if you're going to be out and around and you get a scanner. And there's pretty good digital scanners on Amazon, but it's just something to have. Paralyzed to paralyzed. That's a solid theory. I would add it's a cover for radio cyber mobile fuckery. Yes, like I said, my thesis statement is very clear, and I want to go read it once more because I'm going to just read this statement because I think it's important, and then we'll conclude, take some questions if we need to, and I want to stop screen. This is what I think to your paralyzed to paralyzed point. Okay. This is what I wrote yesterday or the day before. The point we make is that the communications network of Scientology corporations is integrated, and therefore the legally separate corporations are a sham. This can be proven in many ways, but as we look at open source data and begin to map the FCC licensed networks and location, it adds another layer of evidence. While cell phones and the internet work perfectly for calling and transmitting data streams, Scientology's need for secrecy demanded that it spend a great deal of money beginning in the 1980s to set up a private and encrypted network. As noted previously, such a network would be necessary for human trafficking, moving money, and the sharing of both legal and illegally obtained data between fictionally separate legal entities, which are in fact one monolithic entity controlled by David Miscavige. So that, my friends, is my theory, is that one way in that's never been explored. I'm trying to break new ground on my blog. Is that when you weave all these parts together, there's ways in. There's ways in to show the separate legal corporations are a sham. I would like to see if Mile High, if there was a subpoena or a lawsuit, I'd like to see through scanner data, Mile High data, computer logs, if there's LAPD to Scientology entity communication directly by private cell phones owned by LAPD officers, or there's a lot of LAPD frequencies. I have everything they publish that's publicly available. And if I can do a spreadsheet and sift it and compare, should it ever come to a lawsuit or a potential criminal action, Mile High is a weak link in the chain. It's strange. It's very strange. So the purpose is to reduce interference between radio users. Well, I mean, that's one possible thing. Frequency coordination, yes, it is, but Patrick, this is my point. You can use an apparently legitimate things like frequency coordination, but you can also use it to mask, and that's something I'm investigating. I'm saying it's a possibility, and it is a lot of infrastructure. because I'm gonna Scientology when it opened media productions, it claimed that it was going to ingest ingest is a term ingest 720 hours a day of content from its field crews, and you couldn't do that. You couldn't possibly ingest that much. By the way, if you've ingested any Scientology content by accident, please control your local poison control center. It could be an emergency. So that's like the over. This is like a new theory I've developed. So I need people like Mona, Sir Crepitus, Poe, Powerlize to Paralyze, all my audience who follows Money Project and wants to get down into Form 13909. So if you guys could help, go to the blog. I'll post some updates. I'll post this, but let's see if there's a way into the inner sanctum. So I do believe, in conclusion, Scientology Media Productions is a front, and that's actually where all the global control points of Scientology come together in a single nexus through Mile High Incorporated and INCOMM. That's what I think. And if there were ever a need for a raid, I would look there. I would certainly look there, as well as an underground vault where I believe, to the best of my belief, Fountain and L. Ron Hubbard Way. That would be on the underground on the northeast corner. So there you go. Any questions before we end off? Because we're coming up late, and mold base, mold base. I like that. Thanks for listening. Oh, good. Yes, please, Mona, send me anything you can find. When Mona gets it in her mind to do something, she gets it done. She's really knows how to investigate. And see, this is why open source intelligence is such a good tool to have, because a lot of us working together and comparing notes, and that's amazing. So at least OSA now knows that there's an investigation going on them that's not centralized. It's just some folks talking and comparing notes. Yeah. And with that, thank you so much. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed the briefing. And there's not even any enforced arbitration agreements to sign on your way out. It's just free YouTube. So for Scientology Money Project, I'm your host, Jeffrey Augustine. Oh, what's that? What's that? She's shocked. Look at that. My listeners who heard this information, shocked. They were just shocked by it. Oh, it is quite shocking. So with that, we're going to get some music, and as we watch Scientology's stat crash, and that's what they're involved in. That's a stat crash thing I like. So with that, thank you so much for listening, and I'm going to get my what? What would it be without Rich Brown Corduroy? Indeed. So with that, thank you so much. We'll be in good touch on this. Please send me any material you have. I always appreciate your support. So for the Scientology Money Project on YouTube, this is your host, Jeffrey Oxley. A great weekend.